I want to share one of the most important realizations I've had about money and manifestation. Your inner world creates your outer world. And most people misunderstand what that actually means. If you're a creator, a business owner, an entrepreneur, and you want to understand money manifestation in a grounded way, subscribe. This channel is about identity, nervous system, and sustainable growth. So the principle, inner creates the outer. Your inner emotional state becomes your outer reality. And I've had plenty of these experiences in my life. So I'm going to share some of the things, and I'm going to put some more words into it later on. Some examples. If you are angry inside, I was angry inside, and what I experienced all the time was situations that brought up the anger. So let's say you have angry emotions, whatever you want to call it, inside, and probably you know what I'm speaking about. A lot of situations will show up in your life, maybe even on a daily basis, depending on how high the level of anger is inside. Those situations will keep bringing up the anger inside. It's the same thing with frustrated inside. I was so frustrated around money for so many years, and situations kept showing up in my life that reflected that frustration inside. So for you, if you are frustrated inside, how do you know that? Because you experience things in your life or that makes you feel the frustration. Fear of no money. One big one for me for many years. I had this tense fear inside that I would have not enough money to pay for the next bill. And guess what kept showing up in my life? Situations that needed money, things that I needed to pay for. Actually, I had an experience where I thought I had the money, but I was afraid that I didn't have the money to pay for the rent, and the car broke down. So the money I thought I had, they would be gone because I had to pay for the car. And now that fear came up again because I didn't have the money for the rent. So with fear of money inside, you will probably experience situations in your life where you will have that fear inside being brought up. So as I tell and talk and share, maybe just think about things in your life where you keep experiencing the same things. Fear of losing someone is the next one, and that's a big one for me too. I've shared in another video that I was in a relationship for around 6 years, and I was so afraid of losing this woman, and guess what kept showing up? Circumstances that brought up the fear, and it ended up with what I feared most, that she had been cheating on me, she had another man, and I lost her. So the outer world mirrors the inner state. This is so powerful. And why is it this happened? Because I thought that this was some kind of law of attraction and woo-woo stuff. But simple explained, and I'm trying not to sound mystical here, but your nervous system filters reality. You don't get everything in from outside here in your world because that's too much data, so it filters. And that filter will be very much connected to what is important for you. And then you think, well, it's important for me to make money. It's important for me to find the love in my life. I thought so too, but this is up here. If the nervous system has fear inside, that fear will very much determine what you look for. You scan So if there's something deep hidden in your subconscious, in your nervous system that's afraid of losing money, you will see signs. That's how your system works, that filters reality, and again, those things will show up. And also, your nervous system influences decisions. It's the same thing. So it's kind of like thinking about it like a program or software that is programmed in a certain way. So if you have these fear of frustration or anger, or whatever it is inside for something in your life, your system doesn't know if this is good or bad. It's just like it senses that this is important for you. So it will influence your decisions. And this formula keeps coming up for me, that you have your thoughts, which comes from your beliefs, which come from your core beliefs, and then you have your feelings, and then you'll take action. And that action will bring up the results, but it depends on the software inside. So it's shaping your behavior, and it attracts certain dynamics. I kept having, when I met women, there was a phase in my life where I kept meeting women who brought up a lot of drama. And I felt it because they said something, or they were like a whirlwind to me. And I just felt it, a whirlwind inside. And I couldn't understand why this kept happening. So I began to look inside, and I began to find out, okay, something is being brought up. And instead of reacting to it, letting it do its thing, letting those energies just release itself. And I saw fewer and fewer and fewer of those women in my life. So some examples for these different things. So let's say fear of money. You have some kind of fear of money, which will, the result of this will probably something like, maybe you can see if any of these fits you, or write down whatever fits you. Hesitation. So if you hesitate doing something that will make you money, then you know you have a fear inside around this. Maybe delaying offers, maybe undercharging, maybe avoiding opportunities. And fear of rejection could be playing small, could be holding back, could be avoid visibility. So the outer world becomes a reflection. It's not magic, it's a pattern. And I got an example, this is fresh. I was invited yesterday to, I was invited the week before, but we agreed on the date yesterday to go live in a Facebook group with 60,000 people. I'm in a small country. Yesterday, and now I knew this pattern, my mind began running a little wild because I hadn't heard from the guy, and I thought there was not enough publicity around that I would go live, and a lot of thoughts came up. So my little voice began trying to get me out of doing the live, finding excuses. Now I know it, and I'm aware of it. So I was like, I'm going to do this. It's not about the guy. It's not about anything else. It's about me showing up. So that's an old pattern that showed up. And fact is, then I felt the emotions. I felt fear. I felt a lot of heat inside of me. So I knew that something was going on. So I felt it. I let it be inside of me. I listened to the voice, but I didn't trust it. So I ended up showing up for this live. And this is just an example because I had to debrief with myself after, and I was thinking, okay, was it a good live or not? And how can I actually know? I don't know who saw it. I don't know if they liked it. I don't know if it will bring me anything to what I'm doing in that area with that live. But the most important thing for me yesterday in my debrief was that I showed up. It wasn't what the result was. It was that I saw the pattern, an old pattern that was trying to to become alive inside of me, I saw it. And I said, okay, thank you for sharing, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I did it. So that's what I said. Fear of money could be the hesitation, all of these things. And fear of rejection could be playing small, holding back, avoiding visibility. That was my pattern, real life story. So, and maybe you can relate to this. So it's just think about it. Just see if you resonate with this. Where is this true for you? This is the gift in this. Where is this true for you? And then the thing is, go to the root. See, most people, they try to fix life in the outer world, and I've done that for so many years. I try to run faster, I try to hustle more, I try to create portfolios and things and all of this, and I always ended up the same place, close to bankruptcy or losing it all or losing the woman. So when I began stopping focus in the outside world and I went inside, meaning when I say outside world, it's kind of like strategies, it's tactics, it's marketing, it's working harder, it's pushing more. But again, if there's some deep-rooted fear inside, shows up in so many ways. We got to understand that the real work is changing the inner state. And that can be kind of like asking yourself, what emotional pattern am I living from? Could be scarcity, it could be pressure, it could be fear, it could be comparison, it could be insecurity. And again, that becomes the reality you keep creating. So for me, when I operated from pressure or fear around money, my life situations reflected that all the time. Meaning I put only a little money when I filled gas in the car. When I went to shop, I only shopped for a little money. So I knew that there was a bit more. So I was safe by the end of the month. That's not abundance. That's not abundance energy. That's scarcity energy. I operated from that pressure. And that meant that I was stressed in opportunities. I was stressed in everything that I was doing and guess what kept showing up in my life? More situations that brought stress up inside of me. And opportunities, when they came, they felt unstable. They felt something that I should fear. And I'm not saying just jump into anything, because obviously some things are not good to jump into. But many of the great opportunities that I did have, I was very fearful around them. And I made decisions, because that's what I shared before, coming from that inner state, making the decisions that ended up bad for me, because that was my inner state. And outside world reflected that. So when I changed my inner state, the outer world changed too. And let me give you an example of this. Because when I made the decision to come out, I was in a $1.5 million debt back in 2012. I made the decision to change, and synchronicities showed up. I went to a seminar in London in 2012, and I do believe it was May or June. This is 14 years ago as I speak now. That seminar was called Master Your Mind. I don't know if it's still there, but it was the first time that I really understood, or you could say understood, that it's not out there, it's inside. I began looking at my patterns. I began looking at my thoughts, my feelings, the way I was brought up around money and other things. So suddenly I started looking on my beliefs and my, not at that time, core beliefs, but I learned about that later. So I went inside, and the strategies, I have used so many strategies, but they ended up in the things that I feared. Now the strategies was actually very few simple things that I needed to do every day. I did them, but I worked on my inside world, And in less than 4 years, I paid off the $1.5 million debt. I created a team with 60 people in it. I grew a business with that doubled again and again. This was in a very competitive business area. It was professional cleaning. And from that, and within the time also, I started doing coaching because I felt how much this shifted for me. And when I began growing my business and I saw paid off the debt, I began doing business coaching, and I helped plus 100 high-level business operators or owners to do the same things that I've been through. Most of it inside world. So what I learned is this about money manifestation. What is it really? Because it's not affirmations. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do those. Maybe sometimes it's good to brainwash ourselves with the good stuff. And maybe it's sometimes good to pretend. But the thing is, this is not, from my experience, money manifestation. Because what money manifestation is actually changing the identity and the emotional state that you operate from. So instead of operating from fear, operating from stability. Instead of operating from pressure, operating from calm. Instead of operating from scarcity, operating from sufficiency. There's enough, there's abundance. Not saying it, but operating from it, feeling it, doing the actions like it's already there, living it. So your income reflects your internal baseline. A small practical reflection here. This is an invitation. Ask yourself this question today. What emotional state am I living from most of the time? Could be pressure, fear, urgency, frustration, calm, trust, stability. That state is quietly creating your outer reality. Sometimes it happens quick, sometimes it takes longer. And actually, one thing that shows up for me here is that it's like if you have this, if you're doing a very good soup or something, you put all this stuff in the can, what do you call that, pot, and you let it simmer for a very long time. So it all gets mixed down there. Sometimes if it's not like very powerful what we feel inside, it's kind of like that. That's my image. So it's just like doing its stuff down there. So all of this is why I created this 14-day challenge, because we're starting the next level in our manifestation community. The first 7 days is kind of like a manifestation reset, where you reconnect with yourself, you understand your patterns, you regulate your nervous system. The next 7 days is going to be called Money Identity Expansion. And this is about expanding you as a container to receive more of the good stuff in your life, normalizing a higher income, becoming the version of you who can receive more money. It's simple, it's practical, it's free. So if that speaks to you, the link is below this video. First, for everyone, is the 7-day manifestation reset. And when that is completed and done, it will unlock if you are ready for the next 7 days. So the outer world changes when the inner world changes, and money follows identity. So I'll see you in the next one.